All right, let's just get right into it. I want you to picture this. It's New York City, 1925. A small, kind of unassuming manuscript gets released, and it sends this silent shockwave of panic through the establishment. The author? An artist named Florence Scovel Shinn. And she'd created something they couldn't just burn, but they desperately wanted to bury. And, they kind of did, by labeling it occult nonsense and basically hiding it in plain sight for almost 100 years.
So what's so wild is why they were so scared. See, Shinn's work, it wasn't just some nice philosophy. It was laid out like a technical manual. She was literally proposing a kind of mental technology, a system that could, as she put it, crack the very structural code of reality itself.
And this really gets us to the absolute core of what we're talking about today. I mean, if any single person could build their own reality just by applying a precise mental formula, what would that mean for all the institutions that pretty much depend on us for their power? It threatens the whole system, top to bottom. So what was this code they tried so hard to hide?
Okay, to get the code, first we have to understand the prison it was designed to break us out of. Shinn basically argued that we are all infected with a lie, like a thought virus, and it's being broadcast 24/7 by what she called the mass mind.
So what is the mass mind? Well, think of it as the background noise of society. It's the thing whispering in your ear, day in and day out, that life is a battle. That you have to fight for success, you have to compete for every little thing, and you have to struggle just to survive. It's a program that runs on one thing, fear. And it's designed to keep you small, predictable, and totally contained.
And here's the trap. It's a huge one. The mass mind tells you to solve all your problems, your debt, your health, your relationships, with the tools of the physical world, right? Force, logic, worry, struggle. But Shinn's huge insight was that using those tools, well, it's like trying to put out a fire with a can of gasoline. All that friction you're generating only makes the problem bigger. And get this, because this is so crucial. Every single moment you spend agonizing over a problem, you are actively feeding it your own life force. Your worry isn't just some harmless side effect. It's the actual spiritual cement that is holding that problem firmly in your life. It's you screaming to the universe that this thing you hate is a permanent part of your reality.
So, to use this bypass code, you have to stop seeing your mind as some big mystery. You have to see it for what it is, a machine. Shinn saw it as this structured engine with very distinct departments, and if you use the wrong department for the job, the whole system just fails. So let's pop the hood and look at the architecture.
So, according to Shinn's model, your mind has 3 super specialized divisions. You've got the subconscious, that's the raw power plant. Then you have the conscious mind, that's the gatekeeper, the one dealing with what you can see and touch. And then there's the superconscious, which holds the perfect blueprint, the divine design for your life. All our problems come from mixing up their jobs. Let's start with the power plant, the subconscious. I mean, think of it as just pure, raw, unfiltered energy. It has this immense reality-bending power. But, and this is a huge but, it has a fatal flaw in Shinn's view. It is totally blind. It has 0 reasoning skills, no filter. It takes every single thought, every single feeling you have as a direct, non-negotiable order. And this perfectly captures Shinn's most famous warning. The subconscious is a faithful servant, but it's a terrible master. If you are constantly thinking, man, I'm always broke, it doesn't try to make you feel better. Nope, it hears an order. The boss wants poverty. Got it? And it will literally bend time and space to make that happen. For most of us, this servant is running the whole show.
Okay, next up is the conscious mind, the intellect. This is your logical reasoning brain. Its number one job is just biological survival. It was designed to spot danger and keep you safe based on physical evidence. The problem, as Shinn saw it, is that this part of you can go rogue. It becomes a rogue gatekeeper. So if a solution shows up that defies logic or what's happened in the past, the intellect just violently kicks it out. It refuses to let the miracle through the door.
But there's this third, kind of hidden department in this whole model. The superconscious. This is where the perfect, uncorrupted blueprint for your life is just sitting there. Shinn called it the divine design. Think of it like a parallel broadcast, like a perfect Wi-Fi signal that is constantly transmitting the flawless solution to every single problem you have. The only issue, that rogue gatekeeper, your intellect, is blocking the signal.
So how do you get past that gatekeeper? This brings us to Shinn's most powerful and probably most controversial idea. The law of non-resistance. It is a philosophy that allows you to win any battle by simply refusing to fight.
I know it sounds crazy, but according to Shin, it operates on a law as strict as the law of gravity.
Let's just compare the two ways of operating. On one side, you've got what the mass mind teaches us: mental violence, pushing, forcing, hustling, all coming from a place of desperation and worry. What does this do? It creates what Shin called adverse appearances. Basically, the situation gets even worse. But on the other side, you have mental mastery, non-resistance. This is a state of almost spiritual indifference, a kind of chilling confidence that just starves the problem of all its energy.
The rule here in her system is absolute. What you resist persists. The moment you mentally push against a problem, you are shining a giant spotlight on it for your subconscious servant, and you're screaming, "Hey, this thing is real, this thing is powerful," and the subconscious just says, "Roger that," and locks it down even harder.
Now this is where it's like pure alchemy. Fear and faith, she says, are the exact same electrical current. They're just flowing in opposite directions. Think about it. Fear is just faith in a negative outcome. Faith is belief in a positive one. So by practicing non-resistance, you are taking the massive voltage you were using to build your nightmare, and you're just flipping the polarity to build your miracle instead.
But you can't just stop resisting and leave a vacuum there. The mass mind will rush right back in. So you need a formal protocol, a way to permanently transfer the problem. Shin called this very specific mechanical operation casting the burden. It is literally an act of spiritual delegation.
And the protocol is so simple, it's kind of deceptive. Step 1, you look at the problem, and you fully, completely acknowledge that your conscious mind, your intellect, has failed. It cannot solve this. And look, this isn't giving up, it's being strategically intelligent. Then comes step 2, the formal transfer itself.
Shin gave a specific command for this, almost like a line of code. You state with absolute authority, "I cast this burden on the superconscious and I go free." You can change the words a bit, but the intent has to be the same. You are officially telling your subconscious servant, "This disaster is no longer my job. Transfer it upstairs."
Okay, and this is the most critical feedback mechanism in the entire system. The transfer is only successful if you feel an immediate, physical sense of relief. If you say the words, but you still feel that crushing weight in your chest, guess what? You haven't actually cast the burden. You've only talked about it. You have to repeat the command until you feel that shift.
So once the burden is cast, you enter the final and, frankly, the most dangerous phase. The problem is solved instantly in the higher dimension, but there's a time delay for it to actually show up in the physical world. This delay is what Shin calls the bridge of faith, and to cross it successfully, you have to become what she called a spiritual aviator.
And there are 3 absolute non-negotiable rules for this phase. First, do not worry. The second you start worrying or trying to figure it out, you snatch the burden right back from the superconscious. Second, you must ignore all contradictory physical evidence. Your bank account might still say 0. Ignore it. And third, never, ever, ever talk about your miracle before it is fully materialized. You just dissipate the energy.
So here's the challenge. I want you to pick one impossible situation in your life right now. Just one. For the next 7 days, I want you to apply this philosophy with absolute fanaticism, cast the burden, and walk that bridge of faith. And if you worry for even 1 minute, the clock resets. You have to be relentless. Because in the end, this entire system, this whole code, it all hinges on one final simple truth. In this game of creating reality, victory doesn't go to the person who struggles the hardest, or pushes the most, or worries the loudest. The game is not won by the strong. The game is won by the still.